Thank you. I'm Toma, but as you'll see in the corner right here, the contact person for this talk is Ivan Burazin, our CEO and a co-founder. The reason I'm standing here is because he had a baby a few days ago, so I filled in, and this is his talk that I'm going to deliver. So a bit about myself. I'm a software engineer at Daytona. I've been working with the team for about 7 or 8 years at this point. I started my career, I think 8 or 9 years ago in a robotic chef company, and then I joined the team at the company before Daytona, which is the same team that founded Daytona. So let's get right into it. So what even is an agent? Probably everyone in this room used an agent before, and the most basic agent anyone has ever used is OpenAI's ChatGPT or Claude. But also companies like Notion have their own agent, Lovable does a software engineering agent, Airtable has their own, Vercel has their own, etc. Agents are essentially all around us, and everyone here definitely used some at some point. But the, let's say, more formal definition of what an agent is, it's essentially an application that serves a user, but that application is talking to an LLM in some way or another. And the agent itself can also have access to some external tools, like in the slide before, Notion or Airtable, Vercel, etc. Again, agents are a piece of software talking to models and serving some kind of purpose. And the theory is that in the future there will be the number of agents will grow exponentially. For example, like humans to the power of n, which means that every human will use an agent. That agent can also use its own set of agents, because the formal definition from before assumes that an user is interacting with the agent, but it can be the case that agents talk to other agents, and there are protocols developed for that as well. So this number of agents is definitely expected to rise exponentially in the future, and that's why this talk is focused around agent experience. A few more numbers. So in the batch, not the last batch of YC, but the batch before, 25% of the YC startups admitted that AI wrote 95% of their code, which just goes to show how AI is prevalent even in the top YC startups. And also 37 of them were building autonomous agents, and this number again is expected to rise. Again, goes to show why we should take a very close look at what even agent experience is. And if you think about it, most of today's tooling breaks the moment you remove the human from the loop. And why is that? That's because every single application out there currently is made for humans, and that's okay, right? That's the audience that was consuming these applications before. But if you remove the human, how does the agent interact with your application? Is the application suited for these machines, quote unquote, to interact on behalf of users? And another bold statement is, if you're building dev tools for humans, you're building for the past. And the testament of that was the statistic before. So 95% of some YC startups code was written by an agent. And if you think about it, if you're building dev tools for these machines and agents in the future, you might be better off than building for humans. And that's why we need to focus on agent experience, and that's why I'm going to talk about what agent experience looks like at some companies today, and what we did at Daytona to accommodate that, and how what are the lessons learned that we implemented in the end. A very good definition of what AX is by Sean Roberts from Netlify, and if you search around, you'll see that agent experience is a term coined by the CEO of Netlify, Matt, but his colleague's definition is how easily agents can access, understand, and operate within digital environments to achieve user-defined goals. And that's essentially, if you think about it, the exact definition of what user experience is, but in the perspective of an agent, with more emphasis on the access and understanding of this digital environment or of your platform. And We added one more word to this definition, and that's the word autonomously. So how easily agents can autonomously access these environments. Because if you don't give autonomous access to these agents to your platform certain system, you didn't really do much, right? So for example, if an AI agent needs to get a few inputs from you to call an Uber or for you to click some confirmation prompts, etc., you didn't do much because you can just open up your phone and call an Uber in like 2 taps. Autonomously accessing these platforms is essential to providing good experience because it will alleviate and remove the need of human intervention, which is what we want in the end. There won't be any humans to click around buttons, then there won't be any humans to like click around dashboards. That all like falls in the second plan. It's all about giving access to these machines or agents to your platforms and applications. An example of that is we're not affiliated with any of these companies, so these are just examples we found online. Arcade is a great example of a platform that provides seamless authentication to agents into other products, such as, I don't know, Gmail, WhatsApp, Notion, etc. They do it in a way where the agent itself can authenticate as yourself and then do actions on your behalf. And that's one important topic as well. There are other solutions that try to standardize the way agents authenticate themselves, so they authenticate on their behalf, but it's known who controls the agent in the end. Also, Stripe is a great example of agent-readable docs, and for us humans, especially docs are very important when handling any new technology. But they're also important for agents as well. Agents need to learn new technology just as humans do. And having agent-readable docs is also a very important topic. I don't know how many people here heard about LLMs TXT. Raise your hand. Okay, a lot of you, nice. So for those of you who don't know, this is an example of LLMs TXT on Daytona's documentation. It's essentially a markdown file of a condensed markdown file of our entire documentation, which you can paste into a LLM or an agent's context, and then the agent can figure out how to use Daytona from this file. But Stripe is a great example because if you can go to their docs, to any page of their docs, and just append .md on the end. And if the internet serves me, you'll get a markdown page of this page that you're currently on. And why is that important? Because when you see this screen as a human, this is optimized for humans. Agents don't care if the background is white, if the sidebar can collapse, if the search bar is on top. Agents just care about the content of what they're trying to find, and that's why this approach is from Stripe is very nice in leaning towards the agent experience. So the internet won't serve you, but you can trust me on this. You can try it yourself. And lastly, probably one of the most important things that we found is API first design. And this is the most important part because it's the, let's say, foundation of how the agent will interact with your application. And Neon and Netlify are great examples of that because they leaned into this in a way where they changed their APIs to accommodate agents' needs. For example, there might be APIs that humans consume in one way, but agents consume in another. Netlify talks, they have a lot of documentation as well on how to integrate their API with different agents. And essentially exposing every single part of your system to with an API is essential for allowing agents to interact with your platform. Don't hide things behind buttons in the UI. Don't hide some functionality behind forms or anything that's human specific. Try to expose everything through APIs that these agents can consume. And of course, I have to mention MCP. MCP has been a great, has been a very big topic these last few months. It's essentially a protocol developed by Anthropic that allows agents access to other applications through a MCP client-server architecture. MCP is great because once you implement an MCP server on your side, any agent implementing the MCP client can talk to your API. And it lowers kind of the barrier to entry and lowers the the requirement of the agent to know different parts of your system, because it's all standardized and given by the protocol itself. Ivan likes to put his intro in the middle of the talk, so just a bit more about him to give regards. Basically, he started his career in the early 2000s. I was born in 2000, so I didn't really know what VMware was then. Basically, he started by just plugging servers, installing Windows on them, and then he founded a company called Code Anywhere in 2009. It was the first cloud IDE, and he likes to say he was the code spaces before code spaces. And then he also founded a big conference in Croatia that got acquired by Infobip, which is a Twilio competitor, where he led developer experience. So that knowledge is what served him in designing developer experience systems across all of these companies, and then later agent experience as well. And then he founded Daytona with a few co-founders, and now we're working at Daytona, which is basically agent native runtimes. And what agent native runtimes are essentially sandboxed environments that agents can access to run any kind of code, applications, access file systems, etc. The way it works is that agents can send context into the sandbox. That context can be coded, generated, entire applications, I don't know, datasets, CSV files, etc. The sandbox can do any kind of processing that the agent requires, or running the code, compiling it, and then the result is sent back to the agent as well. And that result can be the exit code, it can be the output of some command, it can be logs being streamed, essentially giving, you can think of it like a laptop to an agent that can operate anything. And when building this solution, we started from designing from, let's say, first principles in designing this solution were again oriented towards AI agents. The first principle is probably applicable to everyone here, and that's speed. Our sandboxes and our solution is always optimized for speed, and that's essential because when you talk to an agent, you don't want it to go processing for, I don't know, 5 minutes or things like that, and that's why having very, very low latency creation times is important in our perspective. Something that's specific to our solution is long running. So we like to say that we have serverless sandboxes, but are stateful as well. So they can run forever. Basically, we never destroy them. You can have a session duration for as long as you like. If your agent needs to pause and continue in like a week, it can. And lastly, something very important to everyone when designing their product is machine native interfaces. This is leaning into the API first design, but also I'll talk later about some more primitives that, let's say, occurred while talking to agent building companies as well. And these machine native interfaces are, in our case, file system APIs. How can the agent access creating folders, uploading, downloading files? How can it execute code in the terminal, for example? Giving access to a live terminal feed to an agent can be very useful in working with any kind of workflow that humans have. Git operations, accessing Git APIs like cloning, pushing, pulling, giving all of that autonomy to agents as well. But for example, considering Git is a very, let's say, a secure process that you don't want agents to, I don't know, leak your tokens and etc. Designing this sort of interface requires rethinking how authentication to Git works. Do you keep it in an environment variable? Do you Git login, or do you pass it through secrets, etc.? And lastly, LSP. Something that we as developers take as a given, because LSP is currently in every single IDE. It's basically what gives you the red underline when something is not correctly syntaxed in your IDE or doesn't follow the right form. Having an LSP API also gives more context to the agent building your code and building systems on your behalf. But new primitives that we found and that have arisen while we were working on designing this sort of solution are coming after the break. So The first primitive, what we call, is the declarative image builder. This is something that humans can use as well, but it's essentially a set of APIs that allows agents to configure the environment they're running on the fly, so they can, I don't know, pip install stuff, run commands. Essentially, you can think of it like a Docker file builder, but made for agents. They can. We've seen use cases where agents can run thousand different iterations of the same environment, but with very small differences. And also, because speed is important, handling this on the infra side is very difficult, because you need to distribute these build times, but make them as short as possible. This ties into parallel execution. So this is something that's very agent specific, because us humans, while we're developing any, let's say, platform or idea or anything, we basically try one idea. If it doesn't work, we go back and try it again. If it doesn't work, we go back and try it again. It's a very linear process. But agents don't have to do that. They can run 1,000 different iterations of the same code. They can run 1,000 different iterations of the same unit tests on different iterations of the code, and then in parallel process all of that, get what's the best result, and then branch out from that. That's something that's very specific to agent environments. And also, lastly, that's something that's very easy to explain: volumes. We found that especially data analysis agents that need to process very large CSV files or databases, they kept uploading like 100 gigabytes files to these sandboxes and then processing them on different levels. And then we just made a volume solution where you can upload a CSV file to one volume and then mount it to multiple sandboxes and then run things in parallel, again focusing on speed of execution on the agent side. And this slide is, I don't know, and I really don't know. So the point of this slide is that even though we've been studying agent experience and have been building for it from the start, all of these primitives and these design principles have come from us talking to users building these agents. And what's next in this space is that we basically don't know, and it's something that I don't think anyone knows. But the point is that whenever you design things for agents, it's important to stay agile and try to, let's say, take it one step further in designing things that you feel are right for your platform. These principles I shared are maybe very specific to our case, to agent native runtimes, but I encourage you to take it and try to find some parallels on your products as well. For example, the version control is something that Ivan likes to mention a lot. We've had discussions with clients that don't use Git when working with agents. They think that Git is very human specific, and that some kind of other version control system will arise when agents start working more than they are now. That's all I know on this topic, but basically version control is questioned now as well, and who knows what will be questioned later as well. And that's why this talk is agent experience is the only experience that matters. And the last thought that Ivan had is, if agents can't use your product, no one will. And this might be let's say a too shocker of a sentence, but if you think about it, if you think about how products will be used and that humans will interact with agents and those agents will interact with applications, if agents can't use your applications, no one will, because humans will talk to agents who will talk to some applications that can use it. And if you, for example, take your perspective with your competitors, for example, focusing on agent experience now is something that might be very beneficial in the future, because that's where the, let's say, quote-unquote users are in the future. That's it. Ivan didn't approve of this coupon. I made it, so you can use it and share it with your friends. I hope he doesn't kill me. And that's all from this talk. I'm open to any questions.